Om Namah Pranavartaya Shuddha Jnanaika Murtaye Nirmalaya Prasantaya Dakshina Amurtaye Namaha Arunagiri Mupetam Sachidananda Murtim Ramana Iti Prithivyam Vishrutam Jnana Suryam Gahana Hridaya Vidyam Leelaya Bodhayantam Satatam Ahamameyam Sadgurum Samsmarami. My humble pranams. We'll continue from where we left off in Devi Kalottaram, Jnanachara, Vichara Patalam. The 42nd verse. Ye dhyayanti param shunyam bhavanti abhyasa tatparaha te yanti paramam sthanam janma mrityu vivarjitam. Bhagavan's translation. Aparamam shunyatai yar dhyanitte av abhyasa tatpararaay avaro tappar பிறப்பு இறப்பு இல்லாத பெருமை உறும் ஸ்தானம் உறப்பெருவரே எவர் என்று ஓர். The topic of Shunya Dhyanam is once again mentioned here. As we all know, the word Shunyam actually denotes fullness of awareness and nothing but awareness. There is nothing other than awareness. It is awareness of one's own being. Bhagavan calls it as Iruppu Unarvu, Ulla Unarvu. These are the words that he uses. Awareness of being. And this awareness knows nothing other than itself. So it becomes Shunyam. So this Shunya Dhyanam, this meditation on the void, the great void, is pure consciousness without any contents. The consciousness normally holds so much. The entire universe is held by consciousness. But when these contents are all totally eliminated and only consciousness alone remains, that is known as Paramam Shunyam. In Upanishad, there are many vidyas, many methods suggested for reaching the Brahman. And one of the methods is known as Bhuma Vidya. So this Shunya Dhyanam is nothing but Bhuma Vidya. Bhuma is infinite, perfection. It is mentioned in Chandogya Upanishad. Narada is taught by Sanat Kumara about this Bhuma Vidya. When Narada approaches Sanat Kumara and says, I have read everything, but I have not understood anything. Then Sanat Kumara teaches him this. And then he gives the definition of Bhuma in this manner. Yatra nanyat pashyati, nanyat shrunoti, nanyat vijanati sa bhuma. Bhuma iva sukham, he says. Only in that infinite thing, there is sukham. All other things are alpam, he says. Bhuma eva sukham. It is sukham because there is no limitation to it. All of us actually do not know the secret of happiness. Happiness is to be without any limitation. Body is a limitation, mind is a limitation, thinking is a limitation, all kinds of things are limitations. And we have added limitations after limitations onto ourselves. Bhagavan calls it as upadhi. So, without any kind of an upadhi, if somebody is able to remain in that stage, that is perfection, that is infinite, that is infinity. So, Bhagavan talks about Bhuma. In one of his talks, he says, Bhuma alone is, he says, it is infinite. Finite consciousness, this egoic I, arises from it, taking on an upadhi. This is known as abhasa, spurious thing. This I that we are so fond of is a spurious consciousness. It is a fake, says Bhagavan. Abhasa. Merge the individual consciousness in Bhuma, says Bhagavan. Constant abidance in Bhuma destroys all the vasanas. That is the only way to destroy vasanas. Otherwise, vasanas will keep on rising. When the vasanas are exposed to the light of consciousness, that light destroys vasanas. Otherwise, the vasanas will continue to exist and there is no method of getting rid of the vasanas. So here, this bhuma, this meditation on the void, this void is the one which holds the entire cosmos. It appears and disappears by the Shakti, Sankalpam of Maya. And this Maya is not other than Ishvara. It is an Apurva Shakti, says Bhagavan. So, he goes on to say in this verse, he goes on to say, Te yanti paramam sthanam. Those who meditate and then become established in this void, great shunyam, paramam shunyam, they yanti paramam sthanam. They reach the highest levels. Janma mrityu vivarjitam. They do not have birth and death afterwards. They reach a stage where there is no janmam, there is no mrityu. You remember our Upadeshasaram verse, the penultimate verse, Bandha mukyatitam param sukam. Vindati iha. Iha means here. Vindati iha. Jivastu daivikaha. Of course, we split it because of the rhythm a little differently. Jivastu daivikaha. This jiva is not other than the divine. Bandha mukti atitam param sukam. That sukam is atitam. It's not possible to describe it. Vindati iha ihaiva, says Bhagavan. In this, at this moment, here, you can get it. Because it is there all the time. If it is something to be obtained somewhere at some other time, then we have to move towards that. But it is there all the time. We don't notice it. Regarding this ihaiva, there is an interesting story, not directly connected with this sloka. Many of you may have heard this story. It seems there was a lot of discussion. Various scholars were discussing the meditation hall. Everybody were discussing about various margas and so on. So somebody quoted this Bhagavad Gita verse where Lord Krishna says, Bahunam janmana mante jnanavan mam prapadyate. It is such a tough thing to reach me. Bahunam janma. So many janmas one requires to get rid of the vasanas and reach me. Vasudeva sarvamidam samahatma sudurlabha, says the Bhagavad Gita verse. So somebody quoted this verse. Bhagavan, who was just reclining and in his usual state, suddenly got up and then sat on the sofa. Bahunam janma. It seems he exclaimed, why should it take so many janmas? Ihaiva. Here, now it is available. It seems Bhagavan said that. In that moment, I believe everybody who is in that hall had that experience. The power of his words. Ihaiva. Here itself. This is recorded by Balram Reddy. So he says, Balram Reddy says, who else but Bhagavan can challenge Lord Krishna? Ihaiva. You don't have to wait for Bahunam Janma. Of course, the normal course of activities, all of us are so filled with vasanas, we take so much of time. But Bhagavan says, remember that it is not something far away or something at a distant time that you are going to reach. Remember all the time. Have this feeling. It is available here and now. And whenever opportunity arises, Bhagavan would emphasize on this. Ihaiva. So, Vindati iha jivastu daivikaha. He says, param sukam. And the next verse, what Muruganar has written in Tamil, I will quote that thing. The Tamil 30th verse is written by Muruganar and Bhagavan translated into other three languages. Yanatru iyalvadu therin, yanatru iyalvadu. To be without the ego, that egoless state. To be established in the state of egolessness, the mind-free awareness. Yanatru iyalvadu therin. If somebody is able to understand this, adu. Thana tavamendran undi para. That itself is all charity. That itself is great austerity. Nothing else. That is everything. It contains everything. Egolessness is the ultimate goal. Whichever path one takes, ultimately one has to shed this ego. As long as the ego is there cannot be any freedom from suffering. So, Tanam Ramaneshan Undi Para. This is Muruganar's The great stamp of Muruganar, Tanam Ramanesan. He says, Ramana says this, and Ramana, who is nothing but the self. This is not translated by Bhagavan. Bhagavan just says that, the last one, Aham apetakam nija vibhanakam mahadidam tapo, he says, Ramana Vagiyam. He says, Ramana's Vag. But here is Tanam Ramanesan, Ramana, who is self itself, says Muruganar in this verse. So I am saying this Paramam Sthanam, Param Sukham. Na tad bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yadgatva na nivartante taddhama paramam mama, says the Gita. Taddhama, that supreme abode is mine, reaching which you do not come back. The janma mrityu ivarjitam, Krishna says that reaching that you do not come back. You just become that and then stay there. And there is no nivritti, there is no coming back for that person. Te yanti paramam sthanam janma mrityu vivarjitam. So this Bhuma Vidya, this dhyanam on that pure awareness alone, awareness of being, what Bhagavan calls as ulla unarvu, constantly holding on to that, that will take you there, and that is the end also. That is the means and that is also the end. There are no two things in this path. The means itself is the end. You start from the very beginning, what you are going to get in the ultimate stage, only practice will take you there. Abhyasa param, abhyasa tatparaha, says Ishvara. So we'll go to the next verse, the 43rd one. Deva, Devi, Tata, Chanye, Dharma, Adharmocha, Tatpalam, Ashraya, Ashrayi Vijnanam, Samsarasya cha Bandhanam. Bhagavan's translation, Devarum, Deviyarum, Anganame, Anniyamam, Pavam, Aramum, Tat Palangadum, Meviyudum, Ashrayam, Ashraya Jnanamume Ana Ivai, Ma Samusara Bandhamal. Ishvara is talking about what is the greatest of bondage. Greatest of bondage is to worship Devas and Devis with some kind of a motive, something to get back in return. Doing that, looking for some palan, looking for some fruits of action. This is the greatest bondage, he says. Deva, Devjas, Tada, Chanye. They're all, you consider them as outside of yourself, and you do puja, and you do so many things to these gods and goddesses with something in mind, something to get back in return. So this is the one that is going to bind you. Ashraya, Ashrayi Vijnanam. The palan, the fruits of this, all these pujas and japas and all these things, the fruits of this, where do they go? They go to the ego. Ego becomes, the receiving area of all this palan. And what happens when you receive all these fruits of action? They leave seeds of further vasanas. They just do not disappear. You prayed for something, you have got it, and you are going to enjoy it. Fine, everything is fine. And you feel that is enough. You can keep on doing it, keep on praying, keep on getting something other. The dangerous thing is, these fruits that accrue to you, the results of these actions, they leave a seed within you which will sprout again. They're not going to end. Some more janmas will have to be taken. You have enjoyed your thing, but the enjoyment is not going to finish off the thing. Kriti mahodadhau patana karanam, says. Vinayin vilaivu vilivutru vittai vinaikadal vilthidum undipara. Vinaikadal vilivutru vittai. This word, the word seed is mentioned in the Tamil Upadesasaram, but not in the other places. So if you read all the translations, one gets the complete meaning of what Bhagavan wants to say. Here, Tamil mentions this about the seed of the thing. So, coming back, Ashraya, Ashrayi Vijnanam, knowing about all these things that are going to happen. If you do this puja, this kind of a palan will come to you. These kind of a Vijnanam, this kind of a knowledge, they are all there. They are the greatest of bondage. You are thinking that you are enjoying something, but it is carrying something within it. So, he says, there's an interesting story again. well-known story, but I will repeat it because it's good to know. Once again, you can go through these stories again and again and again. The last few years, last few months of Bhagavan's life, when this cruel disease was afflicting him very badly, one day Sarvadhikari decided that we should have a Mrityunjaya Homam. Mrityunjaya Homam should be performed. And then they went and told Bhagavan, we want to perform Mrityunjaya Homam. Bhagavan would normally say, okay, if you want to do something, it's a good thing, okay, go ahead and do it. He said, yes, go ahead. So he was very happy. Sarvadhikari was very happy. And the homam was arranged, and somebody was to come from the town every day. And, Sarvadhikari planned it so well that Bhagavan would take a walk, go up to Goshala sometime around 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then he will come back to go back to his hall. So, without really disturbing Bhagavan, he arranged everything in such a manner that the puja should be over, the homam should be over, just at the time when Bhagavan is returning from the Goshala. That was going on every day. Bhagavan would come, and then that priest would come and then give him tirtha prasadam. Bhagavan would take the tirtham and he will proceed back to his thing. Kunjaswami was accompanying him one day, and one day Bhagavan came and stood there. He did not move. He stood there because the homam was still going on. With a lot of difficulty, he used to have that stick, and then he would hold it just in front of him like this, and spread his legs out so that the balance is achieved. Very difficult for him to stand for a long time, but he stood for a long time. Till the tirtha prasadam was given, he took the prasadam and then moved. Kunjaswami, who was noticing all these things, asked Bhagavan, this Mrityunjaya mantra must be a very powerful mantra, is it not? Asked Kunjaswami. Since Bhagavan answered in his characteristic style, like you say, an answer which is a question. Where is the Rishi who conceived of this mantra now? Where is the Rishi? Then they walked a little further, and then Bhagavan turned to Kunjaswami and asked him, so you are wondering as to why I stood for such a long time there to receive the tirtha prasadam? Is that what is going on in your mind? Kunjaswami said, yes. Today the priest came very late, and he started the homam very late. So, by the time I came back from the Goshala, the homam was not over, it was still continuing. And if I had not taken the tirtha prasadam and went back, he would be in trouble. Sarvadhikari would take him to task. Why that poor person should suffer all this? I thought that let me stand and take the prasadam. So, that is Bhagavan. So, all these things done with a purpose in mind, they bind you. But if the bhakti is without any purpose, I am doing bhakti for love's sake, prema alone is the motive for me. I don't want anything for me. If that kind of a bhakti is there, Achyuta amarar yere ayardam kolunde ennum Ichuvai perinum yanboi indira loham Achuvai perinum venden arangama naharulane, says Periyalvar. Manitta piravayum venduvade manilatte, says Appar. He says, if I can come and then have a look at this Divya Mangalaha Vigraham, even if I have to born again as a man, in one more janma I have to take, I don't mind, because if this is guaranteed to me, if this darshanam is guaranteed to me, I don't need anything more. That is love, bhakti for bhakti's sake. That is not a problem. Problem is when you want something back in return. That is what is being mentioned here. Ashraya, ashrayi vijnanam, samsarasya cha bandhanam. Interestingly, there was a scholar. This is recorded only by Suri Nagamma, nobody else. It's not there in the talks or Devaraja Mudaliyar. It is there in Nagamma's letters. There are many such instances captured by various devotees. If you really put them all together, then you get a complete picture of what Bhagavan was saying all the time. Even if one day missed or 1 hour missed is a loss for us. So Nagamma writes this is the 2 consecutive letters. Such a long talk Bhagavan gave. Somebody asked Bhagavan, What are the bondages that we undergo, which become the obstacles for our self-realization? So it seems Bhagavan was reclining, he sat up, oh, you want to know that? And then he started off a very long lecture, very unusual for Bhagavan. That's why it is a very precious thing. So he says there are three kinds of bondages that are mentioned in the Upanishad, and he quoted from a Tamil Grantham known as Vasudeva Mananam. It's a Tamil Advaita Grantham. Bhagavan would often quote from Vasudeva Mananam. So he quoted from there, and then he said there are three types of bondages. One is bondage from the past, obstacles that are carried forward from the past, and obstacles that you create now, here, the present one, and the future. And he gave a detailed explanation. He quoted from, Panchadashi, he quoted from Upanishads, quoted from Vasudeva Mananam, and so on. He says there are similar stories, one in Upanishad and one in Vasudeva Mananam, where it's about a Brahmin who had a big family, and all his earnings came from a buffalo, a she buffalo. That she buffalo, in Sanskrit, it is Mahishi. Mahishi. Mahishasura Mardini, we say. She buffalo. So I believe that gave ghee, milk, and so many things, and that became his staple food for the entire family. One by one, all the family members died. And he gave all his love and affection to the buffalo, Mahishi. One day the buffalo also passed away. He was disgusted with the life. So he took sannyas, went to a guru, and then learned all the meditation techniques from the guru. So after a few days, the guru asked him, how is your meditation progressing? And then he said, what can I do? I am sitting for meditation, but what comes in my mind is that buffalo. The chi buffalo is the one that is occupying my mind. So the guru said, yeah, that is priyam. That is love. Do you know where this love is? The love that you are having for the buffalo is actually inherent in that Purna Vastu, Brahman, on that self. It is residing there. And it has taken a shape, the form of a buffalo. A namam and a rupam has been assumed by the same love, and that is what you are loving. In Brihadaranya Upanishad, there is a conversation between Yajnavalkya and two of his wives, Maitri and Gargi. He wants to leave them and then go to the forest and take sannyas and other thing. Yajnavalkya is taking permission from his two wives, and they are all quite upset about it. Then he tells them, you are all saying that you love me so much, but you know something? A wife does not love the husband for husband's sake. She loves him for the self's sake. You are getting Atma Tripti. Unless you get yourself get that happiness, that love will not come out. You are mistakenly thinking that I am loving him. But ultimately, the love is emanating from within you. That is the truth. He says, self-love is the only love. All of us love ourselves most. So he quotes this Asti Bhati Priyam, which is the same as Sachidanandam, Sat Chit Anandam. Asti, it is. That isness, that existence, the quality of existence is also Brahman. Awareness is also Brahman. Bhati, it illumines this awareness. And Priyam, this love is also Brahman only. They have all taken a namam and a rupam, and they are coming in various forms. And then you say that the table exists, the sofa exists, all these things you are saying, but existence is not the intrinsic quality of the sofa. An example is given in Vedanta. You want to boil a potato. You want to boil a potato. What do? You start a flame, you keep a vessel, put some water in that, and put potato in. After some time, the potato, it boils and it gets the heat, and then it becomes a boiled potato. You will not be able to touch it. With a lot of difficulty, you remove that from the pan and then you keep it outside. The heat that the potato had, it's not intrinsic to the potato. It was borrowed for some period from the water, which borrowed it from the vessel, which borrowed it from the flame. The heat is not an intrinsic quality of potato, boiled potato, because after some time it is going to become cold again. And so is the case with the water, so is the case with the vessel. But the flame, heat is intrinsic to the flame. This is how it is explained. This quality of existence, quality of awareness. Can't even call it as a quality. That's not the correct word to use, but you get the hang of it. And Priyam, all this love, they're all actually inherent, intrinsic only to that Purna Vastu, and they're all being borrowed. So, this Guru told this person who says, I'm having in my meditation only the buffalo appearing, the she buffalo, Mahishi alone comes in my meditation. He said, you drop the Namam and the Rupam. I gave the example of the gold becoming an ornament. Gold is the substance. It takes various shapes. Each one has got a name. Each one has got a shape. You call something as a bangle, something as a necklace, something as an earring. But they are intrinsically gold alone and nothing else. Similarly, this Brahman has taken a name and a form, and it has come as, in your case, it is a she buffalo. So you drop the name and the form, you remove the name and the form from the gold necklace, what remains there? Only gold. Gold and all remains. Similarly, if you knock off the Namam and the Rupam, what remains is only the Purna Vastu. And so, in your meditation, you knock off your own name, your own shape. Don't think of yourself as an individual having a name, having a form. You do that at yourself, at the level of yourself, and you also knock off the name and the form of the buffalo, and then see how your meditation progresses. So he comes and says, yes, he is able to be rid of that botheration of the name and the form. There is also another good Zen story which I read long time back. Zen story is a beautiful story. Simple but very effective. There was a monastery, a Zen monastery, and parents of a young boy, very poor parents, they were not in a position to, bring him up and then, sustain him. So they bring him to the monastery, go to the chief monk, and then say that my boy will help you. Please take him. I'm not able to support. They're not able to support him. The monk says yes, and he takes the boy. And he takes him to the storeroom and then says, your job is to work in the storeroom. These are all your jobs. People will come and then give something, just register it. They will take away something, just register it. Do that. Don't get involved in the affairs of this monastery. Don't get involved in any of the affairs. Don't interact with anybody. Just keep to yourself and just do your job. Boy said yes. A few years rolled. This chief monk had totally forgotten about the boy. One day he was so old, he wanted to leave the monastery, give the management responsibilities to somebody else, make somebody else in charge of the monastery. So in that process, he wanted to, because he knew that everybody would be fighting for this particular post. There'll be a lot of conflicts and this and that. So he just wanted to choose the right person. So he went around the monastery and then looked at everybody, spoke to them for a few minutes. And then he saw the storeroom. It was in a corner of the monastery. He remembered a boy came sometime back. What happened to that boy? He's not been seen. Nobody tells me anything about him. Is he there or not? So he goes inside. Yeah, that person was there. He is no longer a boy. He's an adult now. He went and asked him. He has forgotten his name. So the chief monk asked him, what's your name? He said, he looked at him in a very halting manner. He said, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? He said, I have forgotten my name. Forgotten your name? He looked at him closely. That boy was very peaceful, tranquil. looked at him very closely, and he felt his mind is silent. His mind has become silent. This boy did not interact with anybody, did not get involved in any affairs, no relationship, no identity, no role. And nobody interacted with him either. Nobody called him by his name. Completely forgotten his name. Name got dropped off. What is the result? All the relations, all the identities, all the roles that we normally play. All our identities and the roles that we play in each identity as a father, as a mother, as a guru, as a shishya. Actually, in Dakshinamurti Stotram, there is a verse dedicated by Adi Shankara in Dakshinamurti Stotram to the Sambandham. Vishwam pashyati karyakaranataya swaswami sambandhataha sishyacharya tataiva pitruputradi atmataya atmana bhedataha. It says, all this sambandham, we keep on making all our relationship, build all identities. This web of identities, this web of all this, the network of roles that we play and other things, this is samsara. And when you drop everything, like Bhagavan dropped when he left Madurai, he left a chit saying that I am in search of my father. This is entering into a good enterprise. Please don't waste your time looking for me. And finally, he did not sign. There was no person there to sign at all. He wanted to leave that note because he wanted to tell his family, yes, nobody has kidnapped me. They should not get that feeling that somebody has come on that. So in order to give that solace to them, he said, on my own volition, I am going. Of course, later on, he wrote an Aksharavanamalai that Arunachala, you kidnapped me. He accused Arunachala of kidnapping him. Aham puhundi irt un ahaguha isirayai amarvitta dentolla Arunachala. Peyar ninaitidave pidithirutanaini. Un perumayar arivar Arunachala. But then he wanted to make sure that they were not worried about him. That was compassion. But he did not know, because the personality was not there at all. Same thing happened when he wrote that will also. At the end of the will, there is just a horizontal line, that's all. And it was witnessed by people. So when that will was contested by Perumal Swami, court came to Ramanashramam to inquire Bhagavan. The lawyer asked him, we are contesting your will. You did not sign the will. Why did we not sign the will? Bhagavan did not want to tell him that I lost my personality, so I could not sign, because he couldn't have understood what is this losing of personality. It would have led to some more complications. So Bhagavan just said in a very clever manner, he said, he stepped aside from the whole controversy. He said, people gave me so many names. Which name can I sign? When I came here, they said, he's a Mona Swami. Then they said he's a Brahmana Swami. Then somebody gave me a name. Which name can I use to sign? Lawyer was satisfied with that answer. So, Bhagavan, when the personality dropped, the name got dropped, identity was dropped, mind became silent, and that is the highest state, Paramam Sthanam. There's nothing higher than that state. Of course, we attach so much of importance to the sharpness of the mind, we don't realize dissolution of the mind, either through love or through inquiry. Dissolution of the mind is the highest state. That we do not know. That's why Bhagavan keeps on reminding us every now and then that this is the mischief maker, your identity. Drop that identity. So here, the bandham, all the bandhas, one from the past is this namam and rupam. You drop it, you will be able to proceed. And there are 4 different bandhas that come in the present time, I believe, which are going to be obstacles for your self-realization. This is a quotation from, Panchadashi. Bhagavan has given that I could locate the shloka that Bhagavan was referring to. Pratibandho, obstacle. Pratibandho, vartamano, present time. Vishaya sakti, lakshanaha. Prajna mandyam, putarkascha, viparyaya duragraha. 4 obstacles he is mentioning in Panchadashi. Vidyaranya Swami is mentioning 4 obstacles of the present time. The first one is Vishaya Asakti, that is attachment to objects. This is one obstacle. Our mind is active, it has to have some likes and the dislikes. Only an inactive mind will be rid of likes and dislikes. Whenever mind is active, something or the other. However much a person can claim to have renounced the world, something or the other will be there for him. I would like to give lectures in the evening only. Why are you troubling me in the morning? Like that, some likes and dislikes. So many things are there. That is one type of an obstacle. And this can be overcome. It is given there. It can be overcome by Dhamma, Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, and Titiksha. These are all the 4 characteristics that are mentioned for any mumukshu. Shama is keeping the mind tranquil, calm, not getting the mind attached to things. That is Shama. Dhamma is control of the Indriyas or the senses. That is control of the Indriyas is known as Dhamma. Uparati is detachment, and Titiksha is accepting things as they are. Whatever comes to you, without any lamentation, without any complaint, you accept things as they are. This Sahanam, this Sahana Bhavam is known as Titiksha. With these 4 things, it will be possible to get rid of the obstacle called as Asakti, getting attached to things in the present time, Vartamane. And the second one is Prajna Mandyaha. Prajna Mandyam is Buddhi Mandam. That's what? Dull-wittedness, inability to grasp the words of the Guru. That is the second obstacle. And this can be overcome by repeatedly going through the Guru's words. Read Talks with Ramana Maharshi constantly. Who am I? All these books, repeatedly. That reading alone will clarify so many things. Mind becomes clear. So, Buddhimandyam, Prajna Mandyam can be removed by repeatedly going through the words of the Guru. The third one is Kutarkam. Kutarkam is wrong understanding. Not understanding is better than wrong understanding. So, when the Guru says, you are that, if the Shishya thinks that me as a person is only that Parabrahman, that will be the grievous mistake. So, this kind of a wrong understanding, again, by constant reflection and discussing with people, constant reflection will put away that. And the last one is known as Viparyaya Duragraha. This particular thing is the feeling that I have understood everything. That is equating intellectual understanding to self-realization. Understood everything. All jargons are understood. Everything is known. Ask me about, Vikshepam, I will be able to explain to you. Avaranam, I can give you a lot of explanation. And so on. Intellectual understanding should not lead you to think that whatever has to be understood, I am a self-realized person now. That kind of a feeling. Experience is the test of this knowledge. You should experience it. You don't have to talk. That experience will come out by itself. It will radiate its presence outside. So this Viparyaya Duragraham is actually that feeling of arrogance that I have understood everything. And the future also there is a bondage. The future bondage is from you may be very good, you may have understood everything, and you have almost realized in that state, something presents itself to you saying that oh, this is good for the humanity. Take it up. This is a good thing only. Everybody will benefit by this. Take it up. Let me build an ashram. That kind of a thing. That it is a sugar-coated pill. You take it up thinking that it is going to be good for everybody. They give the example of what happened to Bharata, Yada Bharata. The last moment, he was almost about to realize. At that point in time, he got attached to a deer. And then the last thought in his mind was, who will take care of this deer? That great Rishi thought, who will take care of this deer if I am going to die? If I die? The whole universe is being born by that great Lord. And this greatest of Rishis had this thought. It's a good thought. So these sinful things, they present themselves to you as though they are all very innocent kind of a thing, and then you fall for it. This Maya can cheat anybody. So this is the fourth obstacle. Bhagavan gave all the explanation, said that bondage can come from any one of these things. I just take one more verse. Bondage can come from all these, past, present, and future. So be very alert about what you are thinking, how you are going, and constantly be with all these great scriptures and all the books of Bhagavan. Constantly read them. Keep company with those books. And that is the way to kind of evade Maya to some extent possible. So the next verse, Ashrayo Dvandamityuktam Dvandatyagat Parodayaha Jivan Muktas Tada Yogi Dehatyagat Vimuchyate. Bhagavan's translation, Dvandam என்று ஆශ්ரயம் சொல்லப்படுமாம். Dvandam is the pairs of opposites. They come together. They do not come alone. Sukham always comes with dukkam. What gives you sukham now, maybe after some time, the same thing will give you dukkam. You don't have to wait for something else to give you dukkam. The same thing will give you dukkam. Fan is so very good during summer, and in winter you do not want it. Just an example. So the same thing can become a dukkam also for you later on, and they come together. Success, failure. Do this, will be a success. But the same success after 10 years will think, I should not have taken that path. Because something else happens that way. So all the attachments will land you into this dvandas, and dvandas are always trouble. Remember this. If one comes, the other one will also come again together. It's a twin. They do not come alone. They come together. So, Ashrayo Dvandamityuktam. So, all the scriptures will talk about how to transcend the dvandas. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkadaha, says Krishna. Matra sparshastu. Only by touching the Sitam, Ushnam, Sukham, Dukkam. You touch something with the body, you can say it is hot or it is cold. But if you touch something with your mind, that becomes a feeling. Sukham, Dukkam, they are all touched by the mind. A good thought is something that is a pleasurable thought, something that is going to give you sorrow. Another type of a thought, you are touching with the mind or touching with the body or the indriyas. Matra sparshastu kaunteya, he says. Sparsha matram, only by touching. So withdraw from all these contacts. This itself is known as asparsha yogam. The yogam of not contacting, withdrawing. Matra sparshastu kaunteya, sita, ushna, sukha, dukkadaha. Agama, they come and go. They do not stay the same way all the time. Anityan, tan titikshasva bharata. Ignore them. The only thing that you can do with them is ignore them and proceed. Don't be attached to them. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Nirdvando, he says. Nitya Sattvasto. Nir Yogakshema Atmavan. Same Bhagavad Gita, he says. Traigunya Vishaya Veda. Vedas talk about 3 qualities of this life. But go beyond these gunas. Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Nirdvando. Avoid all these dvandas. Nitya Sattvasto. Take to the Shuddha Sattvam. Nir Yogakshema Atmavan. Yogakshemam, actually there is a different meaning. It is not, yogam is not normally understood yogam. Yogam is acquisition and kshemam is preserving what you have acquired. That is the meaning here. In this place, has to be carefully understood that Yogakshemam is acquisition and preservation. So this is Yogakshema. Nir Yogakshema Atmavan. Be the Atman all the time. So all the scriptures, they tell you about this, how to transcend. In fact, Bhagavan himself in Ulladu Narpadu, he talks about Dvandas. Of course, he talks about Triputis also. இரட்டை கண் முப்புடிகள் என்றும் ஒன்று பற்றி இருப்பவான் அவ்வொன்றே ஒன்று ஏது என்று கருத்தினுள் கண்டால் கழலும் அவை. He says, these dvandas and triputis. Triputis are the three sums. Two sums and the three sums. Three sums are the knower, the knowledge, and the known. The seer and the seen and the act of seeing. They all come together. So, in fact, you can reduce the entire world into these two categories of things, dvandas and triputis. Nothing beyond that. So easy way of reducing everything and then tackling them. So Bhagavan says, whom are they taking a support of? Only the ego. These dvandas and the triputis are for the ego. So look to who is this person who is seeing this pain and the pleasure? Who is it? Who is having success and failure? When you trace in this manner, you will reach the self, and there, these dvandas and the triputis, they will completely evaporate. And that is the final stage. So all the scriptures would talk about these two sums and the three sums. And this is Bhagavan's, in Ulladanarpada. So with this, I will conclude today's thing.